Good day, everyone. My name is Eric Paulo Smith. I believe I was already introduced. Today, I'll be talking about bouncing back in the new normal. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Immaculate Heart of Mary College for inviting me to be with you and to share with you this topic with regard to business. So, um, to begin first, to define what is this new normal. This new normal, you've heard it a lot in the media, in the news, with relation to COVID 19. But new normal can be defined in general terms as that period uh, in an economy or in a nation or in a certain setting that succeeds a crisis. No? So we do find ourselves living with COVID 19 still, as there's no vaccine yet. However, we do hope that we reach that point when there's a vaccine and things come back to normal. But we know that new normal will still involve making sure health and safety protocols will be there, and that is why it's termed a new normal. So let's begin. You've heard several news already, when it comes to the business front in our economy in the Philippines. Last September, we got the news that the Department of Trade and Industry mentioned that around 90,000 businesses have remained closed because of the pandemic. In fact, by August, we have considered that the country is now in a recession after experiencing several quarters of declining growth. In short, so many businesses have been closed because of this pandemic, and you can see it even where you are. Um, Around the world, the pandemic has caused such disruption, especially in the business front. One thing to note, though, that despite this extraordinary occurrence of COVID 19, in business, there's what is said as business cycles. Businesses always experience a cycle or a period of growth and decline. It is somewhat natural in the business world. However, COVID 19 has presented us with an extraordinary occurrence. It is something we did not prepare for. And so this causes us to reassess the strategies that we use in our businesses. In my situation, I handle the family business Handurao Pizza, which has three branches here in Cebu City, in JY Square and Mango Square, and in Talamban. We also have a family business resort located in Moalboal, in Basdako sa Avedra. Now, for Handurao Pizza, starting March, we had to downsize. We even had a coffee shop beside our Mango Square branch called Books and Brews Cafe, but because of the pandemic and assessing that maybe in the next 1 to 2 years things will not go back to normal, we will still have to continue paying for rent, employees, and operations, electricity and water, with a decreased or a slump in sales. So that's why we had to take the hard decision of closing that. But for Handurao, we downsized it. We no longer catered to events and functions because it's not allowed. We had to let our employees, around 30 of them, go into a shortened work week because we can no longer afford keeping them for 13 days every 2 weeks. So we already have to resort to paying them 3 to 4 days only a week. And we had to focus on deliveries and takeout because dine-in during the time of the ECQ was not allowed. And even now, when we find ourselves in an MGCQ classification, we have to limit our dine-in as you have to purchase several safety equipment like purifiers, um, HEPA filter purifiers, if you want to have an aircon environment. And as we know, if we have that, it increases the cost of operations, and if sales are not enough, then it's not really worth it. In the case of Halimana, the resort, we were closed for 5 months from March to July. And this was very hard for us because this period of March to July is the peak season period of summer vacation, Holy Week. So, that no longer occurred. We had around 50 employees, and we also had to resort to a shortened work week for them. For both businesses, we did not lay off any employees. We were able to take advantage of government help from DOLE, from SSS, and as the economy started to open up, we were no longer in ECQ but MGCQ. Then we did capacity adjustments from 50% of the capacity of the rooms. We can now, in fact, today we can already accommodate up to full capacity, up to 100%. And in the case of Halimana, we had to go through strict government certification compliance, getting a certificate of authority to operate from Department of Tourism. We had to get a certification from the Moalboal government as well as the provincial tourism government. So this was what happened actually in summary for both of our businesses. But I'm here to talk to you in general terms of how businesses can bounce back, can get back in their feet, probably take advantage of new opportunities in order to stay alive in this new normal. So one way or another, businesses like ours actually had to ask the question, do we pack up or downsize? COVID-19 has presented such an extraordinary and very hard environment for all of us globally. Nobody really prepared for this. And in the case of our coffee shop, we did decide that we had to pack up, we had to close because the costs outweighed the potential in sales. That's talking about strategic assessment. You have to, business owners like us, have to make a strategic assessment of where to take the business amidst this pandemic, amidst an economic downturn. Do we cut losses early or do we ride the storm and try to survive? Those are some questions that business owners inevitably have to answer. I'd like to share with you in this presentation the Philippine Travel Survey Report done by the Department of Tourism together with the Asian Institute of Management and the Guide to the Philippines.ph. This was, I think, done in May, and this was released in June, just this year. And this provides us valuable insights on the sentiments of travelers here in the Philippines, of Filipino travelers. So, for the hospitality industry to which my businesses belong to, this gives us good, valuable information on how to deal with business coming into the new normal. So, allow me to share some points. So, this survey, for your information, was able to collate responses from around 12,732 Filipinos from across 81 provinces, 60% of which fell within the ages of 22 to 40. The respondents comprised of college graduates, 98% of them were college graduates, 47% of which came from the private sector, and their income ranged between 20,000 to 40,000 pesos. Now, it's interesting to note that 48% of the respondents said that they would like to travel or they expect to travel within the Philippines within the next 6 months after the lifting of travel restrictions. So from here, you see that there is a bright outlook among Filipinos to travel within the Philippines. On the other hand, only 26% of Filipinos expect to travel internationally within the next 6 months. And this is very much understandable because even when there is no vaccine yet, it is still very much a risk. When asked what kind of travel will they be doing, leisure and vacation travel was at the top of their list. 53% said that they would be going on a vacation and going out of their homes for leisure purposes. And then, of course, next was to visit family and friends who are probably in other places. And then the next was for business and work. I'm sure you would do the same. The respondents, 74% of which foresaw a reduction or foresee a reduction in their income. And 44% foresee a decrease in their travel budget. So you see that because of the slump in the economy, it is very much a given. It's very much understandable that these respondents see that their budgets for travel will indeed go lower because also of a reduction in their incomes. And the study also pointed out that income reduction appears to influence travel uh, travel reduction. No? Travelers are more likely to reduce their travel budget the higher the expected income reduction is. Yet it's interesting to note that the majority of respondents still expect to reduce their travel budget rather than completely eliminating it. So you can see here how Filipinos really want to get out of their homes. It's very much understandable after how many months of being under lockdown. First thing they want to go is get out there and go to the beach. Because of the reduced level of income and foreseeing um, reduced travel budgets, they are also less likely to buy travel deals, attributed to their concerns on safety, reduced income, and the restrictions in place in these travel destinations. Now, here is a very important point. What is their main concern when traveling? Of course, it is health and safety. The most number of respondents said they are very concerned about family and friends contracting the virus, followed by them uh, being super concerned about them contracting the virus, and then third is the availability of the vaccine. You see here the attitude of Filipino travelers that safety and health are the top priorities. And in relation to this, travelers expect that their travel destinations have the best practices of safety and health um, in practice. That they're doing regular sanitation, they're using certified disinfecting protocols. There is the screening of passengers, and there is also a limitation of the visitor capacity. Things you are actually already seeing when you go to the mall, even when you go to school. These are already being done. And for travelers, it is very important that these are practiced by these establishments. When asked on their attitude on how willing they are to adhere to these protocols, majority of respondents are they're very responsive, and they said that they will follow the directives and the protocols. Of course, because if they don't, then they wouldn't be able to enjoy the leisure travels. The majority of respondents have said that they feel safer doing activities with limited exposure to crowds. I mean, you ask yourself, I think you would also feel the same way, that you would rather go solo, or you and your partner, or you and your family would rather do a private tour or do let's say, the leisure activities as a group uh, among family, rather than mingle with other people you don't know. You don't know the health and safety histories of them. Now, when asked what would their top travel activities be, 69% said that they would definitely go to the beach. And this is followed by going on a road trip, again, going on a staycation, and followed by doing an outdoor activity. If I ask you, you'd probably say the same. Here's also another interesting point, that the respondents, 73% of which would choose to book travel arrangements through direct online channels instead of going through services like Agoda or Booking.com. They would rather go directly to the establishments, but this is done online or through technology. And this actually bodes well for business establishments like ours, because that way the businesses get the full amount that they pay for, unless instead of, let's say, the traveler buys a booking with Booking.com or Agoda, and to the business establishment, there is a reduction in the amount they receive because of the fees that these online travel agencies charge. When asked where would they go, the locals would choose nearer destinations for their travel itineraries. No? For those in Luzon, they choose to go to Baguio, Metro Manila, El Nido, Coron. For those in the Visayas, it's Boracay, Cebu, Bohol. And those in Mindanao, it's Siargao, Davao, Cagayan de Oro. So again, it is synchronizes with the concern for safety, convenience. They just want to go out, and these places are closest to them. So now, the travel report gave us insights on the behavior of travelers moving forward or given the COVID-19 situation. And what have we learned? We learned that businesses moving into the new normal must put safety first. Customers must feel safe. Customers, we know, are amenable to following guidance and protocols, but so should establishments. Establishments also have to do their part in ensuring guidelines and protocols are implemented in their businesses. And because of the changing times, there's classifications of quarantine. Classifications always change, and we don't know yet when there will be vaccines. But we business establishments have to constantly review and improve where if applicable their guidelines, the implementation of guidelines and protocols. But the bottom line is customers as well as employees of the establishments must feel safe and must keep healthy at all times. So here's an example in our resort. What have we done in relation to this? We we have been required to disinfect our rooms with a UVC light. We opted to purchase one that emits ozone, and we turn on the aircon when it's on so that it also helps to disinfect the filters of the aircon. We have placed hand washing stations around the resort for customers to easily have access to soap and water. We've also put rubbing alcohol every room, and we have made sure to put reminders, signs around the resort, and even at the start in the booking process for things they have to remember. So, like showering before using the pool, their meals will be taken in areas that are open air rather than in an enclosed environment. And they have to wear their mask, especially when coming in close proximity with people outside of their group. We advise them to bring their own snorkeling gear, but if they don't, we do disinfect our snorkeling gear that can be used with chlorine for at least 10 minutes. For housekeeping, if the guest stays for overnight, we do clean it right away and we do the usual disinfection. But if they're staying for 2 or more nights, then we, as much as possible, limit the persons who get inside the room. So we limit the exposure. And of course, the requirement that every guest, whether day use or overnight, must fill out the health declaration form. And this is done online. And related to doing things online is this digital transformation that businesses need to go through moving into the new normal. They have to bring their businesses online. You look at food companies. Kami sa Handura, we have already been present in GrabFood, Lalamove, and Food Panda. We're also in Leb Mobile, and we're taking advantage of these third-party apps and online services because people are staying home more these days, and we expect this to continue maybe up to the next year. For as long as there is no vaccine, COVID-19 is still there. And so part of the innovation, part of answering the needs of our customers where they would like to have contactless touch points and automation, we have put this in place for both our resort and restaurant businesses where bookings and orders are done online, the health declaration form is done online. We want to limit the contact touch points because, as we know, this is where the virus spreads. And of course, this also answers the need for convenience and speed. Customers have always been looking for convenience and speed for businesses time immemorial, and for businesses to adopt a digital transformation. It's just, it's just very much timely, more so that COVID-19 affects us all. Next is innovation. Businesses need to creatively adapt and transform, and they have to do this in sync with the digital transformation that must be done in operations. It's important that we innovate because not just because of COVID-19, but also because of competition. Businesses face competition even before COVID-19. But the need for innovation and to move fast, agility is the term, has become ever more needed these days to stay on top of the game, to stay on top of competition. Pizza, our food business, there's so much competition. So, we also have to listen to what the customers want, if there are needs for new flavors, or even innovation in terms of delivering pizza that is hot. So, changing processes in the operations in food delivery. But at the end, we have to make sure that whatever innovation improves the customer experience of your product and service. The value that your product and service gives to the customer in terms of satisfaction must remain intact or be improved. And because of COVID-19, moving into the new normal, innovation must also take into account the importance of safety and convenience of not just the customers, but also the stakeholders, the, um, the employees who prepare our products and services. For businesses also moving to the new normal, another important factor for them to bounce back effectively is being able to diversify themselves. If you are a business that was caught by COVID-19 adversely, and you know you find yourself operating in only one industry, let's say you only have a hotel and you have been closed for how many months, sometimes you are forced even to file bankruptcy. There are several cases of that already happening. And because of COVID-19, though it's still happening, it's teaching us in business that we have to really diversify. We have to um, reduce our exposure to an industry and increase our resilience as as a business, as a for-profit organization. Perhaps look into investing into industries that are more resilient. These days we see business process outsourcing companies doing really well amidst the pandemic, but establishments like hotels and restaurants have closed here and there. And doing so will help us face future economic shocks better. Aside from diversifying, businesses will need to adopt business continuity plans or BCP. This is practiced, in BPOs, as most especially, and in highly critical businesses, food manufacturing businesses. It's a plan that will work on various scenarios. That if, let's say, acts of God like typhoons or earthquakes, if these occur, then what are the steps that need to be taken by the workforce, by the business, to ensure that uh, business continues, products and services are delivered to customers. So COVID-19 still teaches us this, and it is prudent. It is actually very important now for businesses if they want to stay afloat, if they want to find themselves flourishing in the years to come, to become better prepared by having business continuity plans. And again, this builds up a business that is resilient, an organization that is resilient, whatever may come their way, war, typhoons, and now we add this to the list, pandemics, health, health shocks. And finally, another point that of how businesses can bounce back effectively going into the new normal is cooperation with stakeholders. This is what is called by DOT as collaborative governance. We have to work together. Businesses have to work together with other other businesses in the private sector. They have to work together with civil society, with government, and we have to find win-win solutions because businesses can't do it on their own. Government will need also to help the businesses that have closed, that have filed for bankruptcy. Um, Government already has programs in terms of loan facilities, training, um, marketing, and several resources that will assist businesses to transform digitally, to bounce back better. Uh, Also, government cannot work if there are no businesses. What are the taxes to collect if there are no, you know, sales that are occur that redound to businesses? So it's important that there's cooperation good with stakeholders, even with customers, with the citizenry. We all have to work together so that COVID-19 does not make a second wave or a third wave. We all have to keep wearing our masks, keeping distance, washing our hands, ensuring good hygiene, and staying home if we're not feeling well. Here's the statement from DOT on collaborative governance. We have to look at an us versus a me mindset. Going into the new normal requires the need for a comprehensive understanding of the diverse stakeholders because we're looking at a long-term relationship building. In our resort, we work closely with the Malboal Tourism Office because Malboal has created several protocols wherein before you go to resorts you have to pass by the Malboal Tourism Office to get a pass, and that is the way for the LGU to screen the visitors to ensure there is carrying capacity of the municipality is kept. They limit the day users to 300 persons a day, and that also does its share for the environment. That also does its share for crowd control, for physical distancing. And if these are not in place, then COVID-19 may spike up again. We have to work with them so that we ensure the bottom line that everybody is safe and healthy and businesses can thrive again. And finally, the point is that pandemic or not, economic downturn because of war, typhoon, it's a fact that businesses must go on. COVID-19 is there, yet there is no vaccine. But we know that businesses have to go on. Organizations that uh, employ um, workers from various industries have to go on, or else what will the family take home? We will no longer have food to eat. Bills can no longer be paid, and government will not have taxes to collect, and services cannot be rendered for the citizens, and it will all go down. So businesses moving into the new normal will really have to reassess the growth opportunities. Will have to do a strategic assessment of their organization profile, of their operating profile. Will they have to downsize? Will they have to fold up? Will they have to reduce the work week, or lay off workers, change their products, enter into new industries? These are hard questions that business owners have to answer and really have to face in times of crisis. We have to live a life now with COVID-19. It's a reality. We have to treat it more importantly, of course, than every other critical illness out there. Echoing our governor's call that it cannot go on like this. Businesses have to go on. People are getting hungry. We can no longer pay for things, basic needs. We don't want the economy of Cebu. We don't want the economy of the Philippines to go down. And so it's really important that, again, there's collaborative governance in place and we help each other to ensure that there is no resurgence of the virus. We are looking especially on bouncing back better. We learn from what is happening now. We learn from the economic shocks of the 1997 financial crisis, of the early 2000 crisis in the US, economic crisis, and we also learn from this COVID-19 pandemic, ensuring everybody is safe, ensuring everybody stays healthy, and ensuring businesses and vital industries go on despite such. And yeah, so that's where my discussion ends. I hope that you have taken away several insights about the Philippine travel situation, about how businesses can bounce back effectively by taking into account and into consideration uh, several key insights for businesses to ensure customers know that they feel safe, employees know that they can come to work safely, and yeah, the importance of working together, ensuring that we all bounce back better from all of this. So if you have questions, you can send me a message on Facebook. Uh, I'm willing to share or uh, answer your questions for anything about business related matters. And yeah, thank you again for this opportunity. And I hope you stay safe and healthy. Don't forget to wear a mask. Don't forget to wash your hands regularly. And don't forget to keep a safe distance from people. Have a good day.